Hi folks, it's Mrs. Findlay here. We're going to do a short lesson today on adding and subtracting money. So we're just going to do a quick recap on carrying and borrowing. So to start with, we're going to have a look at adding and we'll remind ourselves about carrying, and then we're going to do subtracting and remind ourselves about borrowing. So in this adding question, remember we start at the right hand side, so we're going to do 3 add 8. So 3 add 8 is 11, so we write down 1 there and 1 there, so that still says 11, okay? Because the 1 in the tens needs to be added to the tens, okay? So then we do 5 add 1 is 6, add this extra 1 here, makes 7. And then the final column here, we've got 4 add 2, there's nothing here, so 4 add 2 is 6, so the answer is 671. Okay, moving on to the subtraction question. You've got to be very careful when you're subtracting that you're not trying to take away more than you've got, okay? So if you try and do that, you need to go borrowing, and we'll demonstrate that just now. So first of all, 3 take away 8. Well, if we've only got 3, we can't take away 8. There's not enough there to take. So 3 needs to go to his next door neighbour and see if he can borrow 1, okay? So we're going to borrow 1 from 5. So they've now got 4, and we're going to stick that 1 that we've borrowed there right in front of the 3. So what we've got now is 13 take away 8, which we can do, and that's 5. Then on to the next column, 4 take away 1. Well, that's fine. If we've got 4, we can take away 1, and we're left with 3. And then we've got 4 take away 2 is 2, and so that's the answer to that question. So we've done both of those now. Right, now make this a little bit smaller. There we go. So we're going to look at using money now for adding and subtracting. So first of all, look at this question. You go to the shop and spend £3.15 and £5.46. How much money did you spend altogether? Now, we've got to be very careful when we're adding and subtracting money, because money has a decimal point. Okay, so we've got a decimal point here and 1 there. So when we're adding up or taking away, we need to be very careful to get these decimal points underneath each other. So I'll show you how we do this. We write down our first number, £3.15, and then underneath that we put the point for the number that we're going to add, because we're adding because we're looking at how much we're spending altogether. So the amount that we're adding is £5.46, or 5.46. So the 5 goes in front of the point, and the 4 and the 6 go after the point. And we keep everything in nice neat columns, because otherwise we're going to come a bit unstuck because it won't work. Okay, so as we're adding then, 5 add 6 is 11. So we write that like that. Then 1 add 4 is 5, and then add that 1 makes 6. Then 3 add 5 is 8. But it can't be 861, can it? We can't have added £3 something and £5 something and got 861. That doesn't make sense. And the reason for that is we've got to look at this column of points here, and we've got to continue that. We've got to put the decimal point in, otherwise the numbers are all in the wrong columns and it doesn't work. Now, because it's money, we also stick a pound sign in the front. Okay, so if you go to the shop and spend £3.15 and £5.46, you add them up, and altogether you have spent £8.61. Okay, have a look at the next question. Ella has £25.49 in her piggy bank. Her sister Fiona has £17.53 in hers. How much more does Ella have than Fiona? So if we're finding out how much more, we need to find the difference in between these numbers. In other words, we need to subtract or take away. So setting it up like we did before, we've got £25.49 and we're going to take away £17.53. But I'm going to put the decimal point in first. Okay, so £17.53, we need a 17 in front of the decimal point and 53 after it. Now we can start doing our subtraction. So we start at the right hand side, remember. So 9 take away 3 to start with is 6. 4 take away 5, well 5's more than 4, so we can't do 4 take away 5. So 4 needs to nip next door to 5 and borrow 1. Okay, so 5's going down to 4 and he's giving that one to the 4 there. So the 4 has borrowed 1 from the 5. So now we've got 14 take away 5. So 14 take away 5 is 9. We're going to make sure that we keep our points in a line, including the one in our answer box. Then we're going to do 4 take away 7. Okay, now 7's bigger than 4, isn't it? So we can't do 4 take away 7. So 4 has to nip next door to 2 to borrow 1. So the 2's reducing to 1, and we give that 1 to the 4. So now we've got 14 take away 7. So that's 7. And then we do 1 take away 1. So that's nothing. We can put a 0 in there if we want to, but we don't need to do that. Okay, we'll leave it there just now. We'll see what it looks like, and then we'll see what it looks like without it. Okay, so because this is money, we need a pound sign. So we can either say it's £07.96, which sounds a bit odd, or we can just say it's £7.96. Okay, because we don't need the 0 in front of the 7 there. Okay. Next question. Jake needs £45 for his new computer game. He's saved up £28.50 so far. How much more does he need to save before he can buy the game? So he's got £45 just now. And he's saved up £28.50. So we need to know how much more he needs. So it's like the last question where we're finding the difference. So we're going to need to take away or subtract. Now, we've got a little bit of a problem because £28.50 has got a decimal point in it. And the way that we set these out is we line our decimal points up. But look at 45. We haven't got a decimal point in 45. But remember, this is money. So if we want to add a decimal point to £45, remember a different way we could say £45 is £45 and no pence. Okay, so if we put the decimal point in there for the £28.50, then the 28 comes in front of the decimal point and the 50 comes after it. Now, we're going to have to do some borrowing here. Not to start with though. So first of all, we're doing 0, take away 0. So if you've got nothing and you take nothing away, you've still got 0. You've still got nothing. Okay, the next one, 0 take away 5. Well, 5 is bigger than 0. So 0 is going to have to go and borrow 1 from 5. So 5's going to reduce to 4 because he's giving that one to his next door neighbour so that we can do the subtraction. So now we've got 10 take away 5. So 10 take away 5 is 5. We're going to keep our nice line of decimal points there. Then we're going to do 4 take away 8. But 8 is bigger than 4, so we can't do 4 take away 8. We have to go and borrow. So 4 nips next door to borrow 1. So they've only got 3 now, and give the 1 to the 4. So now we've got 14 take away 8. 14 take away 8 is 6. And then onto the last column, 3 take away 2 is 1. So we need a pound sign because it's money. So the answer is he needs to save up £16.50 more before he can buy the game that costs £45. Okay. And the last question for today. Al and Dev are going to the shops Al has £13.86 in his pocket and Dev has £9.53. How much money do they have altogether? Well, if it's all together, then we're going to need to add these amounts. So £13.86, and then we're going to put the decimal point in, and we need to fit £9.53 in. So the 9 comes right in front of the point, and the 53 comes after the point. Okay, now we're going to add these together. We can see when we're doing this, we've got a gap here, and it's okay. If you don't like gaps, then fill it in with a 0. Okay, when you're subtracting, it's important that you do fill in gaps with zeros, especially gaps on the top line. But we're not worrying about that just now. I'll show you an example in a minute. We're just going to go through this adding. So 6 add 3, start at the right hand side, remember. 6 add 3 is 9. Then 8 add 5 is 13. So be careful when we write the 13 that the 1 goes under the next column and the 3 goes in the column you've just added, so that still says 13 as you look at it. We need to remember and keep our decimal points in line. So our next column to add is 3 add 9, that's 12. Add 1 makes 13. Oops. So we're going to write 13 again, like that. And then in our last column, we've got 1, add 0 is 1, add 1 is 2. So altogether, they've got £23.29. Okay, I'm just going to show you quickly what we need to do if we've got zeros in, or gaps, sorry, and we need to fill in with zeros. Now, this doesn't happen so much when we're adding and subtracting money, but when we're looking at decimals in general, if we had, for example, 16.5 and we wanted to take away 7.6, then we would actually make that 7.63, sorry. So what we would have to do is, as we have been doing, you write down the first number, then you write down the decimal point for the second number, and we can see we need a 7 in front of the point, a 6 and a 3 after the point, and we're going to take those away. Now, I spoke a little minute ago about filling in gaps with zeros, and we really need to do that here, because if we don't fill in that 0, we're going to come very, very unstuck. Okay, so as we go about this subtraction, then the first bit we need to do is 0 take away 3. Now, if we've got none, we can't take 3 away. So 0 needs to go and borrow from his next door neighbour, leaving the next door neighbour with 4 and giving 1 to that 0. So now it's 10 take away 3. So 10 take away 3 is 7. Then we're on to 4 take away 6. But 6 is bigger than 4, so 4 is going to have to go next door to borrow. So that becomes 5. Give that 1 to the 4, so now it's 14. So we've got 14 take away 6 is 8. We keep our decimal points in a line. And oh dear, 5 take away 7. Well, 7's bigger than 5, so 5 needs to nip next door and borrow 1. So next door is left with none now. And to give that 1 to the 5 to make it 15. So 15 take away 7 is 8. So the answer to that question would be 8.87. Okay, so I'll put some practice questions up for you to do as well. And you can give me or your teacher, if that's not me, a shout if you've got any questions. Okay, let us know how you get on.